Okay, today on this little short, I'm basically going to take a look at the Transient Triangle, which is something that I have covered previously in one of our paranormal videos. We made a brew in a haunted mansion. If anybody's watched that, you'll see that. If not, pop over, have a look at the playlist, it's there. Basically this is in honour, I would say, of another bushcrafter, really big monkey one, and it's a guy that I watch quite a lot. Basically, what you do is the Transient Triangle comes in 3 pieces. It's basically a pot stand and a burner holder. If I can just figure out how it all goes together. Always forget. Ah, there we go. Right. So you have them, see how they've got a slight bend in them. So you get them with the bend, and there's like a little piece that sticks out there, and a slot in that side of that piece. And you put the bent bit through the slot. And you bend it against itself, and then you hold it, and you get the next piece bending the same way as the other two, with a slot on that end. You put that in there, and then you, because it's flexible metal, it's only thin sheets, you then create that. Let's move the pot back a bit. So you've then got the stand. Then the next piece is this circular burner holder. That pops in the middle, where you see these slots on each piece. The round edge of this fits against these slots on the inside. So the way I do it is I kind of pop it in with my fingers underneath the slot. That kind of holds that bit in, and then I push down on this end, and then it pops in. Let it click, it's popped into the slot. So we know that's then going to hold the burner. This is the little Trangia, it's the symbol for Trangia, Trangia meth burner. We pop that in the centre and it sits on there like that. Perfect. Take the top off, and then you can pop it in there. There we go. Right, now what I'm going to do today is, because I can't get outside and it's absolutely pouring with rain, it's been horrible for 2 days, I wanted to do something like this, so I wanted a coffee. Why not do it this way? I may have to replace the meths halfway through because it might run out. Boiling this amount of water, sometimes it won't be enough. But it doesn't matter, I've got plenty. This purple stuff is Methylated Spirits. That's what we can get in the UK. I think you can get the white alcohol, the methanol or ethanol, whatever it's called, but that tends to be a bit expensive. But this you can get from most hardware stores, and it does say on the bottle, cleans glass and use as fuel for small stoves and fondue sets. So perfect for this anyway. Right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to light it, which you can do with a striker or a lighter. Today I'm going to cheat. Right, there we go, it's lit. I'm doing this in the kitchen at home, hence why I've got it on the marble cutting board. And in the background you might be able to hear a slight hum, but that's the extractor fan that I've got on very, very low. And I've got a window open, just purely because the meths can tend to smell a little bit. Just kind of wait till the excess burns off. You have to wait until it basically goes and starts to come out of these little tiny holes around the edge here, which it's not quite doing yet. It will do in a minute. It has to do what's called gas. Don't quite understand it, but it's basically when the heat expands the methylated spirits, which then pushes it up, then out of these holes, which are a bit like the holes on your gas burner, on your gas stove, similar. So I'm just kind of waiting for that to happen. It can take a little while, just get it to warm up. Right, while we're doing that, I have pre-ground some coffee, just some cheap coffee beans from Aldi for £4. Nothing too expensive. I think it's a Colombian blend. Right, these need to be dumped into the cold water. Now, amount, I'm really not too sure. I'd say probably a litre of water, cold. I'm going to dump these in, basically till they cover the top of the water, and then you have like a bit of an island in the middle. A little bit more for good luck. Okay. So, that's that now put in there. Bit of wind from the window. Shouldn't take much longer. It takes a minute or two to warm up. Right, it's starting to go now. Look. You can see it trying to come through those little gas ports. Here we go, come on. There we go. Right, now you see how it's changed from just a flame in the centre to now where it's around the edge coming out of those little holes. I hope you can see that on there. Okay, right, so now that's ready to go. The reason why I love this is because if you get to a location and you can't have an open fire, or you think you shouldn't really have an open fire where you are, or it's just too wet, you've been out for a hike, it's absolutely poured down. If you've got this and you're carrying this with you, it's a secondary backup source of fire, so you can have a safe fire and cook and boil, do whatever you need to do. So you can have a hot drink, you can have something to eat, and you can even get a bit of warmth from it while you're doing that. So it's a multiple type thing. Right, now I don't know how long that is actually going to take. It may take probably about 10 minutes. Now I'll probably video the lot, but what I'll probably do is cut the video and just edit it down a little bit so it's not quite as much, not quite as long. But that's basically it. And you're supposed to wait till it starts to boil, and as it starts to bubble around the edge, the centre sort of sinks away. I might actually put a little bit more in there because I don't think I've quite got enough. Just like a little bit of an island in the middle. Like that. Okay, and so as the boiled water heats up, it starts to bubble, and it's the bubble action that kind of percolates and rotates all the grains, the grounds, everything in the water. Whereas if you're using the percolator, the electric ones especially, it just drips water through the coffee beans, the coffee grounds, once, and that's it, it's done. I always feel that's quite a waste of ground beans, to be fair. So I just saw this being done on Really Big Monkey One's channel. I think it was in memory of Morse Kochansky, or Kochansky, can never pronounce the guy's name. Awesome guy. He was basically the grandmaster of bushcraft. Dave was paying homage to Morse, and I'm kind of paying homage to Dave. You know, he's a guy I've always watched since I first started. Dave Pearson, Really Big Monkey One on YouTube. Look him up, cracking guy, bit of fun, but so knowledgeable. And the guy is so creative with his channel. What that guy doesn't know, it isn't worth knowing. Seriously, he's an absolute mine of information. Fantastic guy. Take a look, some cracking ideas on his channel. There you go, Dave. There's your shout out, buddy. So yeah, it should be starting to warm up. Yes, it's starting to warm up now. Doesn't really take long. I think when we were at the mansion, we boiled a small Trangia kettle, probably in about 6 minutes, which I don't think is too bad. I mean, you get campers that want these jet boil things, so it boils your water up in, 2 seconds flat. Well, I'm a bit more old-fashioned than that. I like faffing about with all the gear. Trangia gear is a little bit kind of old-fashioned. They have kind of updated their Trangia cook set to titanium now, to make it more lightweight. Even though it is bulky, it was quite heavy because it was all aluminium. like these pots. But yeah, they've made them like a titanium set, but it's so expensive, 80-90 quid I think for the titanium set. I'm not going to spend that on a load of pots. But yeah, I'll probably cut now to the point where it starts to boil. It shouldn't be too long now. Now, with this version of Bush Coffee, which is what this is called, coffee grounds into cold water to start with. Pop it on the heat, whether it be a meths burner, a gas burner, an open fire. Get it to the point of a rolling boil, and when it gets to a rolling boil, you time for 1 minute. 1 minute on the boil. Then you take it off, and you're then supposed to pour about a full cup of cold water from a height into the coffee. That kind of takes the scalding hot edge off for when you drink it. Also, what it does, the main purpose of that is to shock the beans and make them drop to the bottom of the pot. So when you then ladle off your coffee into your mug, you then don't get a mug full of bits, because you've made the coffee grounds sink to the bottom. That's the plan. Hoping it works. Back shortly. Now, if you're using one of these stoves, either gas or the methylated spirits in the outdoors, one thing that will make it take longer, and that's if it's a windy day. So if it is a windy day, you want to try and make yourself a triangular or square wind block. And you can do that by cutting up wood, basically branches of deadfall, and putting them in like a frame around the outside. Put some stakes in on the inside, put some logs on the outside, and stake them in, pin them in together, and build a wall on either side, and just block the wind from getting in and moving that flame around. So that's a bit of a tip. You can buy windbreaks, metal windbreaks, but to be quite frankly honest, they're a pain in the arse. They're made out of aluminium, and they're bendy, floppy, and pain in the arse in your bag, pain in the arse to use. It's better to just use bushcraft skills, then it's less rubbish in your bag. You can just use whatever you've got around you that's out in the woods, plenty of branches lying around, cut off the limbs, make a bit of a wall. Using your bushcraft skills gives you an excuse to use your saw and your knife, etc., and your axe. Get out there and use the skills that you've got. That's what it's all about. It's not about cheating, because bushcraft isn't about cheating. Bushcraft is about using skills that you've learnt to then accomplish things that make life in the woods that little bit more comfortable. So then it goes then from, say, what could be potentially an emergency situation to a sustainable situation where you can sustain your existence for longer than, say, a day or two, because you have the skills to create a shelter, you have the skills to create a fire, you have the skills to create a raised bed and a pot hanger, things like that, to overcome some of these things that you will need if you're ever caught out in the wild. That's hoping you've got your gear with you, but hopefully when you go out into the wilds, you're going out into the wilds with your gear, with your bushcraft stuff in a big pack on your back. We use a Berghaus Crusader backpack, which is predominantly a 90 litre pack, and then you can go up to 120. I think if I'm correct. 2 seconds, I'll be back. My bag's just behind me. Yep, I was correct, but I just have to double check myself. Given that I'm 43 now, it's kind of, you know, the old noggin doesn't tend to work. Okay, I'm seeing a bit of steam coming off there now, so it should start to boil in a minute. So yeah, the Berghaus Crusader pack is bomb-proof, absolutely bomb-proof. It's made of this like really thick material. Alright, the pack itself is a bit heavy, but it's got a nice solid back frame to it, really nice padded straps, plenty of pockets and pouches and stuff like that on it. The stuff you can get in there is absolutely unbelievable. It's perfect for winter when you're going to need the bigger gear, the bulkier gear, because in winter you're going to need a warmer sleeping bag, which usually means that the actual pack of the sleeping bag is going to be bigger and bulkier. Because it's a winter one, it's thicker, it's going to be bigger than your summer one, so you're going to need that in the bottom of your pack. Then you're going to need things like waterproofs, waterproof trousers, waterproof jacket. They're going to have to go in, so that's extra bulk in the bag. Maybe a bit of an extra tarp perhaps, you know, to kind of make a bigger shelter. Keep you off the wet floor. You can always use your tarp to sit on. There's all sorts of things that you're going to need extra. A waterproof bag inside your rucksack to keep everything dry. You're going to need a waterproof pack with spare clothes in, things like that, you know, socks, underpants in case you do get caught out, you get wet, spare t-shirt, things like that, spare pair of pants, trousers, spare jumper. You might need to put in like an extra, say like a hoodie or a fleece, something like that, because the nights can get bitterly cold. So there's a lot of reasons why you need a large pack, and the Crusader backpack really covers all of those bases. And to carry a big backpack with less in it in summer with your summer gear is a joy, because you've got a comfy backpack that you know is bomb-proof and it's lighter than it would be in winter. So I don't really see a problem with carrying a bigger pack with less in it, instead of having 50 backpacks around the house for different things, which again, clutter your house up, take up room and more expense. If it'll do it a lot, it'll do a little. That's my tip. Slowly starting to boil a little bit now. Few bubbles coming through it. Does take time. Hopefully this will be quite quick, because obviously we're indoors. I've got nothing really blowing that flame, so it shouldn't take too long. We're still going good under there. Back in a sec. Now we're getting there. It's all starting to go frothy now around the outside edges. It smells lovely. There we go. And don't stir it either. Apparently the trick is to just leave it and let it do its own bit of magic. There we go, it's shiz off. Go. Now we've kicked off into a rolling boil. You can see how all that surface coffee is now going to get mixed up by that boil process. There we go. So go for a minute now. Right, now we're about to hit the minute mark. There we go. Right, you carefully lift this off. And the only way to put this out is with what we call a snuffer cap. And basically you can adjust the temperature with this by allowing only so much gas through, so you wanted to put that on. It would reduce the amount of flame coming through, so you can slowly boil something, or you can completely snuff it out by just closing it up like that. You just slip it on and just leave it to go cool. Pop that out. Right, now the next stage is to pour in from a height the cold water, which I have pre-done in a jug. And I've got a chair just to help me get the height. Now, Dave Pearce, Really Big Monkey One, calls this fizzing, I think he called it. Either way, it shocks the grounds and makes them go to the bottom of the pot. So I'm going to do that now. And then I used probably about, what, 200-300 ml cold water. Right. So, I use my favourite AC/DC mug there. Okay, so now you use a ladle, pop it in, grab a ladle full of coffee, and as you will see, as I pour into the cup, there should be no grounds in that whatsoever. Nice and clear. Same again. Still trying to be careful. Try not to disturb the coffee too much because it will make the grounds come up from the bottom. Okay. Pop it a little more in just because I like my coffee. Oh, there's one. There's only one. That really isn't bad at all. Okay, I'm going to put a splash of milk in. Now, if I hadn't have put the cold water in, my coffee currently would be absolutely full of bits. There's just the one. There we go. Okay. That's really saying life, well, you know, we're not perfect, and neither is life. So, hey ho. 1 ground, I don't think is bad for a bit of bush coffee. Let's give this a taste test. Wow, that's actually a nice coffee. Well, Dave, absolutely spot on, mate. Perfect. I'll be using that out in the woods. I'll be taking ground coffee with us, and I will be using that method over an open fire. Absolutely superb. It's just another way to use ground coffee instead of the crappy instant, so you don't always have to settle for second best. You can pre-ground up some beans, take them in a bag, I just use a food bag, and away you go. Sit back and enjoy the country, enjoy the beautiful nature with a perfect cup of coffee. Here's to next time, guys. Oh, and don't forget, while you're here, don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already done so, like and share, and please comment. We do interact in the comment section. In the description you'll find below a link to our Patreon page, where we will do more sort of exclusive things like this, short videos with how-tos, tips, tricks. Any questions you have, put in there in the comments and we will try to address some of those questions, even by doing a video and showing you again of something a bit clearer if you didn't quite understand something. So yeah, we are on Instagram as well. So yeah, don't forget to like, share and subscribe, and we'll see you on the next video.